One of the first mistakes is trying to source one of these LT4s. If you are a baller with a big budget and you're doing, a big build, buying one of these crate is probably, within reach for you. For me, it was not. And I originally had an LS3 mated to a Tremec TKX transmission in the Chevelle. And what I ended up doing was pulling the engine out. Well, I posted the engine for sale, and I had some other guy who was a real nice guy. He just decided he wanted my whole drivetrain, and we kind of made a deal that made sense. And so I pulled the whole drivetrain out and went with a brand new, same tranny because I liked it so much. And instead of the LS3, obviously we're going with the LT4. So this, everything, like I said, seems to be pretty much similar to an LS swap. The thing that I'm learning and the challenges that I've been trying to go through so far is like, one is the fuel. How is that, different from an LS swap? Honestly, the fuel is exactly the same. So the only difference, like if you're running a Chevelle, there are two type of tanks. There's like the standard, baffled like tank sink, like for an EFI engine or an LS swap. So it's an EFI, they kind of use the standard depth. And then the tank has a, this is for those doing it on a budget like I am. So if you want to go out and spend, $2,000, $2,500 on a fuel tank system, like by all means, go for it. But, for me, I didn't want to do that. So I was going to try to use my tank sink, $350, stock style fuel tank that was made for EFI. But it turns out that with an LT4 swap or anything, supercharged, or I guess any LT, you need to run a minimum of a 450 liter per hour tank. And so I just had the tank seek standard, EFI fuel tank. So I posted it for sale. And what I had to do is I bought the notch tank, and I got everything. I got the notch tank. It's pretty dope. I mean, it's basically like the same tank. You can't see it, but I just got it. I just got it in a box laying under there. But it's the same tank, except that the corners are notched, and it allows has more depth, so you can run a bigger pump. And so, that's the way I would do it, or that's the way I am doing it. And that's what I would probably recommend. I think you can fit much more high flowing pumps in there, like what is it, a 525 is up next or something. And so that's what I'm doing here. Same thing as an LS swap. Fuel line, so I'm going to be using 3/8 fuel line. It's going to have the flow to a regulator, and then now before I had the Corvette regulator filter thing, so I had it from the tank, and then I had it mounted underneath to the Corvette regulator, and then flowing back the return, and then I had this one, you can kind of see it here, fuel line flowing directly to the LS3. Now with the LT4, basically doing the same thing. I'm replacing the Corvette regulator, because you got to toss that out. It's only made for like a certain amount of pressure, and I'm going with like a standard air motive type, return type of fuel thing. I can't think of the name right now. Regulator, sorry. And so, a lot of guys that are doing the swap, they're kind of using the factory GM harness with that pulsating modulator bullshit. I don't think you need to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to run my fuel. I talked to PSI. They said you don't need to. You can just run standard fuel just like you had before. So that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to just run a 3/8 fuel line from the tank, pumping that, I think it's instead of the, the LS, I think that's like 50 something. This one's a little bit higher. It's like 76 fuel pressure. And then it goes to the top of the, there's another fuel pump on top of the motor which is for the direct injection. It's like more of a mechanical fill pump, and that's going to send your like 2200 or 2200 psi fuel pressure into the injector, into the the things there. So so anyway, again, not a pro. I'm pretty sure we can all, I'm sure you guys can handle this. And my next video, we're gonna go with the oil pan. So we'll do something a little different on that.